Hi everyone, I'm Darren Hunter and I'm with Deniz, Yusuf. We are inspiredgrowthtraining.com and today we've teamed up with the great guys from Surevestor to teach you how to effectively use landlord protection insurance to promote as a point of difference so you can win more business with prospective owners. Now, Deniz, how excited are you about this product?
To me, Darren, obviously being a BDM in Australia, it's a bit of a no-brainer having landlords insurance. So it's super exciting to be part of, Surevestor being the first company to come into the United States. So we can be part of educating and helping any agents around the US about it. I'm super excited about even doing this session for them.
The thing that amazes me, Deniz, in Australia, and I remember when I was in 1993, I was a property manager working in an office, and suddenly I had this insurance booklet on my desk, and it was landlord insurance, and I've never heard about it before. And I suddenly, when I read it through, it was actually a policy that covered against rent loss. It covered against malicious damage back then. But the thing is that back then, the actual company that was promoting that policy was called Scheer Landlord Insurance. And that policy just went like wildfire across Australia with just about every agency within a few short years was all using landlord insurance. And now, Deniz, we're probably about 6 or 7 policies deep. There's about 6 to 7 other today quality landlord insurers in Australia other than the Scheer Landlord Insurance. I mean, our business, Inspired Growth Training, is actually teamed up with a business in Australia called EBM Landlord Insurance, which is a quality cover. And you got others like PIP, and it just goes on and on. But then, Deniz, we've got the banks doing it, providing not quality landlord insurance, but they're providing some type of cover. And then even worse, we've got the supermarkets doing it too. So in Australia, landlord insurance is an absolute must. You insure the building, and then you insure the against a bad tenant. So this is just normal for us here. And we're excited now that Surevestor is now starting. And Deniz, I think it's good to say that Scheer herself is behind this product. Now,
absolutely.
Terry, a number of years ago sold Scheer Landlord Insurance. So she's no longer involved in that particular company, though the product still remains. And Terry was I believe, in semi-retirement, and she got the call from this team several years ago. And she thought, well, okay, let's go and release landlord insurance into America. And now it has been. So you just need to know the quality behind Surevestor. You've got Scheer, the world's expert on landlord insurance, behind it, having helped create the policy, but then also it being underwritten by Lloyd's of London, the most well-known insurance underwriter on the planet.
Yeah.
So, you've got a solid cover here. So let's move on, Deniz, and we're just helping people. But firstly, I think here's our details, of course, if you have any further questions about us. But Deniz, quickly, what's your background?
My background is when I left school, Darren, I actually jumped into door sales. My parents used to be the fruit and vegetable experts in a small town of Nowra in New South Wales, which is a couple hours south of Sydney. But I tried avoiding jumping into fruit and veggie. So I did Amway, I sold Kirby vacuum cleaners, and I jumped into hospitality. So, and then I did marry my beautiful wife, Tracy, and I fell into the fruit and veggie industry. So my whole career was based around fruit and vegetables and door sales. So everything was all about sales for me. I then started in real estate in 2008. 1st of June 2008, I became a leasing agent for a company called Integrity Real Estate. And Darren, as you know, I used to love leasing. I didn't realize throughout my whole career from leaving school, I was trained in sales, and leasing properties is a sales-based position. I used to love chasing those tenants to apply for properties with us, following them up and calling them, convincing them to look at our properties over our rivals. Then I found out that you could be a BDM and you could beat the other agents at getting the listing. Being the competitive person I am, I loved it. So I became the BDM in 2009. Because the whole process of leasing properties and chasing tenants, being a BDM's the same. It's making those calls and chasing those owners, the potential landlords, and getting them to your listing and competing against other agencies. So I loved that. And then I listed over 900 properties in a 4-year period. My record was 317 properties in 1 year, 317 doors in 1 year. Then I was chasing people like yourself that I wanted to learn more and be better at it. And I ended up starting BDM Coach. So I did train in 3 countries, and then you and I formed Inspired Growth Training.
That's it. That's it.
2017. So from Fruto to real estate agent to trainer consultant, and mentor across 3 countries now.
And so about myself, I started in property management as a property manager here in South Australia. I'm from Adelaide. Deniz is from Brisbane in Queensland, and well, that's where you're based at the moment. I know
I've just moved
from South Wales. But my background started in 1989 as a property manager. I've done 15 years frontline experience, worked with Landlord Protection Insurance for many years. And then became a state property manager. So I had 18 offices to manage and 28 property managers. And then the last 14 years, I've been an independent trainer and consultant just in property management. And of course, the last year and a half, which has been a great year and a half with Deniz, with Inspire Growth Training. So let's move on. Let's get into the session. Now, let's talk about, firstly, your marketing and how can you use Landlord Protection Insurance to promote your brand and promote your new point of difference, and getting more leads. Now,
so Darren, so just to quickly explain, so the idea for what we're doing here is to help anyone with Surevestor in how they can use that as a point of difference in their marketing to win more leads. And we're going to give them some scripts and stuff, right?
Correct. But before we get to the scripts, we're going to talk about social media marketing, which is just a normal way to market these days, and using memes on your Facebook posts, but also Instagram as well, or doing Facebook ads. You need to get good at creating memes. And now at Inspired Growth Training, of course, go to our Facebook page, Inspired Growth Training, like it when you're there. Have a look at the memes that we create on there and promoting our brand, because our audience is property managers and business owners and anyone involved in property management. You'll see that that is our audience, and we are reaching them with our memes. Well, your memes have to go and reach your property investors, or are they DIY owners that you want to convert, or whoever. You need to get good at creating memes. So if you go to canva.com, the spelling's on the screen there. You've got a freemium version. We recommend you take up the premium version, which doesn't cost that much. Now, there are photos that you can purchase for $1 on Canva, which is a very low cost, or you can also purchase stock photos through Istockphotos.com or Shutterstock.com, which is owned by Getty Images. We always recommend that you purchase your images. Don't use copyright images, or you could get yourself into trouble. But also on Canva, there's lots of free stuff. You've got free backgrounds, free color backgrounds, all those sorts of things. So there's plenty there for you to create something that looks great, put your brand on it. But when it comes to doing messages and so forth, well, you've got to get creative. Now, here is something that we've thrown together as an example of something that you can do. And quite frankly, if you go and Google bad tenant, you'll see who I call Barry the Bad Tenant. And Barry the Bad Tenant, we got him as a stock photo. Of course, there was nothing on his black slate there. You can put whatever wording on it. There's all sorts of things you can get of people holding up business cards or whatever, but let's have a look at the message here. And this is something that is a little bit humorous. It's going to grab the attention. Now, what we got to understand is that your prospective owners are looking at Facebook feeds, and if they've got a problem, like they're wanting to get the best tenant, they're scared of the tenant from hell, they want to get their property rented quickly, all of those sort of things. And this type of message is going to get their attention because they've got a problem. They're looking to solve it. They see bad tenant there. That resonates with the things that they're losing their peace of mind on and they're nervous about. You're going to get their attention. So hence the big title, bad tenant, with the graphic. And the message, like Barry, bad tenants are bad, but good tenants can turn bad too. Ask us about how you can now insure against a bad tenant. So what we're doing here is 2 things. we're grabbing, well, three things. We're grabbing the owner's attention, and we're saying that good tenants can turn bad too, because we get sometimes owners that say to us, well, okay, you know, you can guarantee the tenant, and you can't. You can never guarantee a tenant, because we know that good tenants' circumstances can change, and they can change into a bad tenant, you know, whether it's divorce or loss of job or whatever. Things
Those
can,
circumstantial changes that you can't accommodate for, Darren.
correct. And your message needs to be clear to every owner that you can never guarantee anybody, because you cannot control the tenant. You can't watch them 24/7, and neither should we either. But the other issue that we're bringing to their attention is you can now insure against a bad tenant. You need to make your message loud and clear in your marketing, in your social media marketing, in your dialogue when you're connecting with prospective clients as well. Because quite frankly, right now, you've got a very strong point of difference. But in future, you know, other landlord insurance, you know, products, it may come about as well. But until then, you've got a strong lead. So make sure you leverage it really strongly now. Don't you agree, Deniz?
Oh, I certainly do. You know, it's about leveraging it, especially being able to be one of the first to be able to push this out as well. And one thing that I do love about the memes, Darren, is the imagery has so much better marketing than an article or a wording on a post on social media, as an example. We all can relate to that picture right there. Bad tenant, it's in your face, and then it makes you read. The image catches it, you see the wording, and then it makes you read. And I think it's a prime example of good marketing.
So this is just an example, and you need to put your creativity into it. When you're loading a meme, you need to watch it. What sort of reaction does it get? If it's a good reaction, it's gone really well, put it aside and maybe use it in 6 or 12 months time again, because this stuff can be repurposed and reused again. And with our memes at Inspired Growth Training, we try and use them every 6 months or so, because then in a lot of cases we do have another or just a lot of new people now onto our page looking at it. So here is some wording, Deniz, that we've put together to help you with your marketing. So you may use words like, you know, would you rent your property uninsured? Now, we're not saying for you to use this exact wording. These are just ideas to present and wording to use in your market. So we've put you'd never rent a property without insurance cover for unexpected events like firestorm damage, right? So that's just saying, hey, you won't go and own a property without insurance, because there are unexpected circumstances that can cause a massive financial loss can to occur. So never rent out your property without insurance cover for a bad tenant too, because there are inherent risks involved with property investment. So ask us how you can insure your property against a bad tenant with rent loss and malicious damage today. So outlining again, your rental income can be insured and against malicious intentional damage caused by the tenant as well.
Yeah, and again, this particular wording that you've got here, you can easily have that with an image in the background and use it.
Correct.
You know?
Or you just use fewer words, but the concepts are there, and to use those concepts, you could have a picture of, you know, you would never not insure against your property with fire, right? Question mark, and have a big house burning down or something like that as the image or attention grabber to get them to read the rest of your message. But you just got to get creative. Now, here is another idea with an attention grabber headline. Well, good tenants can turn bad, ... But that doesn't mean you need to have the anguish of months of lost rent as well. Ask us about landlord protection insurance today. So again, there's some other wording there to concepts to grab the attention of your owners, get them interested, knowing that, hey, I do have an investment. It does have a risk, and now that risk is insurable. And Deniz, I'd like to say, you know, what other investments out there other than property can people get insurance against? I mean, you think about stocks and shares. You can't get insurance against the loss there.
No, you can't. Banks, if you're investing your money in a long-term account, if you were to look at that as an investment, you can't, because it fluctuates. It goes up and down.
You go invest your money in a business enterprise? a startup or something.
But if it goes bankrupt or sales, it's not insurable. So,
Correct, correct. So
yep.
property investment, and in this case, residential property investment, you can insure against, your rental income. So
yep.
it just makes sense to promote it and get that effective point of difference. Now, here's another concept: insurance cover for a bad tenant, ? Rent loss is now a risk that landlords can insure against, or owners can insure against. Ask us about landlord protection insurance that will cover you against rent loss and malicious damage caused by a tenant. Now, we probably want to get to much more detail than that, because that's a conversation you can have with them. And of course, that's when you present them the policy wording, so they know exactly what their cover is.
But again, it's just an attention grabber that we've got here. It's a short script, it's an attention grabber, and it just creates that doubt in their mind to then want them to connect with you and ask more questions.
Yes. And again, using graphic photos. Go and get really good, unique, attention-grabbing photos with a title using Canva. You can grab their attention. Once you got their attention, then you give them your very brief, basic message, not too much text, inviting them to contact you, but just educating them that they can now insure against a bad tenant. Alrighty, so I think that was a good discussion there, Deniz. Now,
yeah, it was.
We've got some scripts now, Deniz. So I think before I hand the reins over to you, because I want you to lead the rest of this presentation, when it comes to scripts and dialogue, everybody, we're going to be giving you some script here, but it doesn't mean that they have to be your words. What you need to understand is that you need to understand the concepts, and then as long as you understand the concepts and what you're trying to tell, then make sure that you say these concepts in your words, your personality, your style. Otherwise, it won't come across as natural. It will sound fake, and you will lose trust. So when it comes to any transaction and getting the deal, winning the client over, you have to win their trust. So make sure you learn this stuff. And the only thing that you can do to learn these scripts right is to rehearse them through repetition, listen to them over and over, whether you use your phone, and record those scripts and listen to it over and over until those scripts become you and you can say them naturally, really easy. So when you're under the pressure of a listing presentation, you can say these scripts under pressure, and only you can say this stuff with confidence under pressure when you've learnt them by rote. If you don't, you won't be able to recall them at the moment you need them.
No, not at all. So what you're saying, Darren, is if I'm doing a listing presentation and somebody asks me a question, whether it's about what landlord's insurance is and what does it cover, I can't just say, hang on a minute, let me go back to the car and listen to section 3 of 4 where Deniz and Darren were training on it, and then I'll come back and answer it. Is that what you're saying?
No, Deniz, they can't do that. They have to deliver a script that just sounds natural and coming from you to actually win the deal, to overcome any objection. You've got to
come from here. It's got to come right from within. It's got to be so, like, scripts and dialogues is one of the, when I was a BDM, Darren, I remember I was, I tried reading some scripts, right, that I was handed. I think it might have been by you. It was the old way of scripts and dialogues. I read them once and I went, "You're kidding me," and I threw them out. But today, in today's society, you can listen to our things on our webinars or whatever the case, and listen and listen and listen until it soaks in. Where you're in the car, you really have to get it into your own wording. Never try and say it like someone else. It's got to come from you.
Yeah, and your way of saying things, correct. So, alrighty. Now, just before we launch, I think it's really important to understand, again, that the person behind Surevestor Landlord Protection Insurance is the Scheer Landlord Protection product. And we want to reiterate this simply because though you're the only company as of today, as of this recording, promoting proper quality landlord protection insurance, no doubt sometime in the future, maybe other products might arise. So whether you want to say, hey, look, this is Scheer Landlord Protection. This was written by a lady called Terry Scheer, who is the global authority and expert on landlord insurance. It is underwritten by Lloyd's of London. This is a quality product. So within landlord insurance, you can differentiate your product for now and into the future as well. Should you want to work Scheer Landlord Protection insurance into your wording as well. So this is what is behind Surevestor, and of course, Lloyd's of London underwriting as the foundation. So I think it was worth mentioning there. Being this product is sold at the moment, but who knows, what might happen in the future. So Deniz, over to you.
So this is an example. I've put together some examples of using the landlord's insurance, Surevestor landlord insurance, as scripts to close the deal when you are talking to those owners. So whether you're at the property or whether you're over the phone or having a Zoom meeting with them, this is an example script, because your job is to identify that you are the agency of choice. You've got to make sure that your office is the front of mind. So whether they've seen a blog that you've written or a meme that we've just gone through, or an article, or whatever the case is, you're then, you've got that streamline of information that's coming back to your close. Okay, there's got to be that common thread. Okay, so it's like any marketing that we do, whether it's on social media or they see it on Google or a video, wherever, when it comes to us closing the deal, and if I'm trying to get someone to come across to us in our coaching packages, I always remember the reason why they called us. So this is some really good scripts for you. So Mr. and Mrs. Owner, you'd never rent out your property without building insurance to protect your asset against fire, storm, damage, etc. You also should never rent your property without landlord protection insurance to cover rent loss and malicious damage as well. Just like fire or storm damage, you can never predict these occurring, nor can anyone predict or avoid a good tenant turning bad through life issues like divorce, job loss, or bankruptcy. Thankfully, these risks are now insurable. And once we have your authorization to go ahead, we can get your cover started right away. So this is going into, so you're talking about, like Darren was talking about earlier, you can't protect, you can't guarantee a tenant. If anyone says, can you guarantee a tenant? Well, we can't guarantee a good tenant. And that's why we have. So you can segue it in to a close like this. So it was a common question that was asked of us. So if we can just go to the next slide, Darren, because I've got a few that I'd like to get through and explain that we've got here.
Just bear with me here. I'm just got to get this thing working.
That's okay.
Goodness, I have to manually do.
Yeah, so it's certainly important to always ensure you cannot badmouth another agency that might not be offering it. But here's an example of just throwing some salt into the wound. So Mr. and Mrs. Owner, I understand that you've got other agents coming into your home to discuss property management. Please be sure they really do have your best interest at heart. Managing property isn't just about collecting rent and charging a fee, but ensuring we're protecting your cash flow and property. Landlord Protection Insurance does this. If the other agent aren't offering you landlord protection insurance like Surevestor, are they covering all bases of management? So what we're doing here is we're just questioning who they may be looking at it as well. It's just questioning it. You have to wonder if they're forgetting other areas of management as well. So be sure to ask them if they carry landlord protection insurance like we do. Managing a property isn't just who can collect the rent, but who can protect your rental income and property from a bad tenant. So it's just throwing that doubt in there. So
I think, Deniz, you've rubbed salt into the wound as well, because in the last paragraph we've got here, so be sure to ask them if they carry landlord protection insurance, because right now they're not. And if the owner says you have landlord protection insurance, the other agency or the other property manager or BDM ain't going to have a clue. And when they sound like they haven't got a clue, it's going to place doubt in the mind of the prospective owner to want to use them and more to want to use you. So always challenge them. Make sure you ask the other agency, are they providing landlord protection insurance cover against rent loss, against malicious damage? You need to be very specific on that, because we know right now the other agency is likely not providing that cover.
Yeah, and a good example of adding salt in the wound without bagging, because you can't put down another agency. You can't put your rivals down. But what happens is when they ask and they say no, the straight away, your doubt that you put into their mind has been confirmed. An example of how I used to use this, I quickly worked out what had happened with my rivals. They weren't talking to the potential landlords about their arrears, the tenants not paying the rent. So I used to use that in my favor, and I'd say that 99.8% of our tenants are paying their rent on time. Be sure to ask if the agency knows when they come what their arrears are, and meaning arrears, who's not paying the rent. And they could never answer the question, so it made me look like the expert. So here's another example of what we've got here. Okay, so we can flick through to the next one. Thanks, Darren. So, okay, one key element in our company looking after your investment is providing you with an experience of working with us. I love the word experience. And peace of mind, as it's simply not about just charging you a fee and collecting the rent. By showing and providing you with a service, it's all about saving you money by working with us. If you were to have a tenant maliciously damage your property and then be evicted, that can be a very stressful situation. Not only of the extra cost being incurred due to the damages, but also now having no rental income coming in to pay your mortgage and bills. So we're using a little bit of the fear of God in them now. We're talking about the dramas and the issues that can arise. We're about having our clients, we're about saving our clients money and giving peace of mind if something goes wrong. If we could just flick the page there, Darren, if something goes wrong. In turn, this also puts stress on your relationship with the agency who hasn't looked after your best interest in offering suitable landlord protection insurance that covers you against this. Then going through the process of finding another company to look after your investment. So working with a company like us that's offering landlord protection insurance is not only going to protect you against any unwanted stress and loss of income, but also helping you make the right choice early. So we're talking about, guys, be careful who you choose. You know, if you choose someone else and something was to happen, you've got to go through all of that stress. In the case, if you do decide to use us as your acting agent, you won't have to worry about it because we'll still have your back if something was to happen. So it's just showing them the stress that can occur and alleviating any concerns that they've got over it. So basically we're saying, guys, don't use them, use us because we've got your back, you know? So it's just a nice way of doing it there. So if you can just flick to the next slide for me, Darren, so I can go through another one. So now we're going in for another close. Okay, so thanks for giving us the time to run through our services with you, Mr. and Mrs. Owner. It's been fantastic working alongside you with relation to our property management services and your home. So I always call it a home, okay, not an investment, because, you know, this is the lovey-dovey stuff. You know, we want to be friends with them. As you can see, our company isn't simply about collecting the rent and charging a fee, but about saving you money for using our services, like having fewer days on market, which places more income into your pockets, and protecting you against circumstantial changes that a tenant could have and you losing rental income during this time. This is why we offer landlord protection insurance. While we find the best possible tenant for you, we cannot accommodate for the loss of jobs, death, divorce. Having a property management company that offers landlord protection insurance for you through Surevestor helps reduce any unwanted financial burdens then and during these unforeseen times. So basically here we're just insuring them, not insuring, just ensuring them that, you know, their property, their home is going to be in good hands. Okay, and then basically you can also just segue straight into, for us to then be able to take care of your property, all we have to do is get this authorization form filled in. So if we can flick to the next one, Darren. Now, what I'd like to do here, Darren, is we've given some examples of some closes, and another example that that you can do for a close is if the owner does say to you, so Darren, if you were a potential landlord and you said to me, but Deniz, I understand you've got all of these you know, systems and procedures in managing our property, but can you guarantee us a tenant? I'm about to close you and you don't even know it, okay? I'd say, you know what, Darren, that is one of the most important questions that you could ask. What I'd like to do, let's sit down now. I'm going to go through our authorization form. So just to explain, the authorization form is your acting agency agreement, the form that you use to sign them up. But we call it an authorization form because it's a softer approach. So back to Darren, I would say, Darren, that's a really good question, and it is such an important one as well. What I'd like to do is I'd like to go through our authorization form with you now. And when we get to the tenants and the guarantees, I'm going to go through it in complete detail so you've got a full understanding of that. And I'm also going to share with you about Surevestor insurance that we have got that no other agencies has, because we're about ensuring that we protect you to the best possible way we can. And then I've just sat you down, Darren, and I've closed you.
Well, I think this is great, because getting that authorization or that management agreement filled in and signed is that last speed hump, isn't it?
It is. But
you said, hey, hold my hand right now. We're going to go over this hump.
Yep.
And we'll deal with this issue that you got, more or less from the other side of that hump, and you've got the deal.
You've asked me a question and then given me permission to sit you down and go through the paperwork. So it's such an easy and simple way of doing it. So what I'd like to do now is share some ideas. I've got some quick ideas here to help you create more doors and you know, create some more leads so you can get those the phone calls coming in. And a key area that a lot of agencies or realtors that we deal with, Darren, is they forget some of the simple things. So new business prospecting ideas and tools. One of the key things that you need to do is network meetings. You know, you need to be networking and surrounding yourself with other people that also want to grow their business, and it's working with referral partners. So a BNI is a prime example of a network meetings that I recommend. You know, BNI is a business networking international that they're throughout Australia and New Zealand and the USA. And basically it's where one of each trade person or vendor, or one of each business, one accountant, one lawyer, one mortgage broker, one real estate agent or a sales agent, and one property manager, they all come together and they are encouraged to you know, refer business. No money is transferred during these. You know, another great example of networking is the Business Chamber of Commerce's, you know, or if you don't have any of these networking meetings to go to meet and mingle with people, is start your own. Find the youngest and newest accountant. Find the youngest mortgage broker in your areas, the newest photographer, whatever it is, because they are going to be so keen to grow their businesses that they're going to be happy to, they're going to want your clients just like you want ours. Now, the thing is about all of these people that you're networking with, they're potentially dealing with landlords before they become a landlord, before they've even called a sales agent. So you're not now relying on a salesperson to say, I've just sold a property and here's their the owner details, please sign them up. So you're getting in early and not relying on them. So network meetings is a key area. So the next slide, Darren. So LinkedIn, it blows me away how many people don't use LinkedIn. Everyone jumps on board and they sign up to LinkedIn because they're told to sign up, but then they don't know. If I can explain it in the quickest possible way, LinkedIn is like Facebook. Okay, instead of Facebook, what you do is you are linking with your friends, but LinkedIn, you're linking and networking with other business owners. You know, what are you posting? The Surevestor memes that you've done. So you can show every business person in your area and in your network that you have got your landlord's best interest at heart. Who do you connect with? The same people that you see at a BNI meeting. Anyone that is dealing with potential landlords before they even become a landlord, or developers. You know, you want to be networking with any business that is dealing with a real estate company or anything to do with the property, a painter, a gardener, person who does the lawns, the person who does the cleaning. Because if they're going to somebody's house that wasn't looked after, or they're privately managing it, you want them to be seeing your things on LinkedIn. What are you posting? Your points of differences, new staff, training you're attending. There's so much you do. Your blogs and the memes, okay? There's lots and lots of things you need to be doing there. So LinkedIn, you have permission to inbox them and say, hey, let's have a meeting. Let's see how we can help each other out, because you can grow your business. I could talk about it for hours, Darren, but if we can go to the next slide. You know, Facebook, what are you posting? Who do you connect with? You know, Darren, you can share. It was 2010, I think it was. Or
2011.
2011.
In about April.
April or
in
May,
Melbourne.
April.
In Melbourne. And I have to say, Todd Breen, who's one of the people behind Surevestor, was at that conference as well, speaking there. And then I was at dinner with you. And what happened?
Yeah, well, you basically said to me that Facebook doesn't work. And I said, Darren, it does. Why are you not using Facebook for business? You know, and what did you say? Bookface?
Bookface? How can Facebook work for business when all people do is post what they've eaten for breakfast on it?
Yes. So, but which is interesting. I mean, somebody used to take a photo of a flower. The wind's going that way, but it's leaning that way, and that was what a big comment was for Facebook. But I used to network with a lot of landlords on Facebook, especially if there's groups. You know, we used to have a business group in where I live called the Shoalhaven Business Feedback Forum, and people would go on there and say, who's the best agency to rent with? Who's the best agency to manage my property, or who shall I sell it with? And I was always in there commenting, typing and helping. So that was just one way, you know, but what are you posting and who do you connect with? The same people you connect with on LinkedIn. And if you've got new staff, you're attending new training or whatever the case is, or you've got Surevestor Landlords Insurance and nobody else has, that's a massive point of difference that you should be sharing with your clients. Facebook is like a living website. You've got permission to change things. It's so hard changing a website these days, but it's an active, living, breathing form of networking where you can update owners. Stop just putting houses for rent on Facebook. As you know, Darren, I think we've got about 3 hours of training just on good things to post on Facebook, let alone how to use Facebook to grow your business. But Facebook's a very, very good tool. See this little thing here, Darren? This thing here is the new TV, and Facebook is there. There's a stat that I recently read that 83% of the people that are on the internet these days is on some form of a device. So Facebook is right there for it. Okay, we can go to the next one, Darren. There's some examples. So you could do some educational things on Facebook. So if you've got Surevestor is a good example of having a meme on there, team building or new staff, always tag them in it. Any training you're attending, which is really good, take a photo of speakers. And the idea for tagging other staff is it then reaches their audience as well. Don't tag your staff if it's a house you've got for sale or for rent. That's just, you're going to get your own staff hating upon you. Community focused or sponsorship, if you are sponsoring an event in the area, or there's a school fete or a career day or a new hospital or a highway or a freeway being built, you know, whatever it is, you do a video and have it out there. Birthdays, babies, pets. What is it about babies and pets that catches so much more attention? I could put a picture of my daughter on Facebook saying it's her birthday today. It'll get more traction than one of the best memes we could create, Darren. You know, fun, bloopers. Darren, you know, we've got one of the most successful bloopers of Darren getting undressed in a hotel room behind me while I was doing a video. It went viral, and it shows people that we are real. You know, no, he didn't get
much to your delight, and anyway.
But it's about connecting with people. You know, it shows connection. It shows people we are real and people like us and we are more approachable. You know, so many people come up to us and they go, "Oh wow, we feel like we know you," and I just smile. You know, when we were at the broker owner event, people are looking at us.
When we were at the Surevestor stand, we had all these people coming past. We're from the other side of the world, and people saying, "Oh, we see you on Facebook. We see your podcast, you know, your video podcast, blah, blah, blah." And it was so many people knew us, but we'd never met them in our lives.
That's right. So I was only talking to a gentleman yesterday, Darren, and he goes, "Oh, I met one of you at the broker owner. I don't know which one you were, but I met one of you. Which one are you?" So, but you know, that's what Facebook does, and it can do it for you. Invitations are really good if you're doing any investor evenings, or use Facebook as a newsletter. Fundraisers that you may be doing as well, and live video. So if you're doing if you're at a property, you're waiting for your tenants to turn up, do a live video and talk about the area and sell the lifestyle. You know, so think a little bit outside the box. private owner calls is one of the key areas of growth for anyone in the United States, because there is so many private owners, people managing properties themselves. In Australia, it's approximately 70 to 80% of any investment property. They are using a real estate agent, someone to professionally manage the property. Whereas in the US, it is the reverse. So, you know, instead of calling them and saying, why are you doing it yourself? Show them they need your help. Remind all of the private owners that they need your help. Call them up. Hey, I saw your property for rent. I thought, you know, how can I help you find a tenant? You know, give them an example of your application. Give them examples of your get ready reports. Give them examples of your procedure from when they've signed up to all of the works that you do until you put a tenant in it. Show them, have all your branding on it. Your listing kits, give them all of that. You know, give them 10 tips on how to reduce the stress levels of owner. So educate them by showing them and sharing with them how you can help them. And then if they are, you know, give them a call after a couple of days. If they still have their property that it's vacant, then maybe they will feel that desperation. Go, you know what, that guy was really cool. I'll give it a go. I've just given you 1 minute on private owners where I would spend 2 hours in a normal session. So it's about showing them they need you, not calling them and telling them you're doing something wrong. You wouldn't like me calling you saying that you're not growing the rent roll very well. Rather, if I rang you up and said, hey, how can I help you grow your rent roll? It's a different approach. Reviews, recommendations received. Where can people review you? How can they review you? Google, Facebook, LinkedIn. They're the 3 areas. You know, you've got your local businesses area. Now, I know that, you know, in the United States, there's other Yelp you can use as well. Google is one of the most powerful ways of growing your business, because even if Darren said, Deniz, you should use this company to manage your property, I'm still going to jump onto Google and look at the reviews and get my own vibe. And if I see you've got more recommendations and reviews than the other person I was thinking of using, I'm going to use you. You know, I will call you. So whenever somebody's done something good for you, or they're at the happiest point, so you've just found them a tenant, you've just got the rent that's being paid or whatever the case, send them a text message, a link, send them a video saying, hey, thanks, really appreciate your feedback you've given us, would love a review because my boss is using that as part of my KPIs. Okay, so that's another example there. And information nights or investor evenings, whether you've attended them or arranged them, or career days and expos, this is where all of those people at a network meeting that you've been to, use all of those businesses and form an information night together and have a competition. Guys, if you're going to run an information night with us and you're dealing with a mortgage broker, you've got to bring at least 10 clients. And then I'll bring 10 clients. And if you've got 5 speakers and you've got 10 clients each, that's 50 people. And you know, if I'm hanging with your accountant is basically saying, guys, Deniz is my preferred person to manage the property, and so on. So you need to be networking with as many people, you know, and have a 5 to 10 minute talk each. Keep it short, keep it sweet, network with them. Career days are great as well, and even sponsoring school information nights or college information nights as well. You've got to keep top of mind in these areas as well. Again, I've got a 3-hour session on it, but you know, that's just in short. So, you know, your pre-listing emails that you're sending out, again, using Surevestor, you know, show them a point of difference early. These are things that I monitor the people that I'm training, is how many they're sending out to how many appointments have been booked. So send the same information that you send a private owner, and giving them examples of applications, and also show them the branding of Surevestor and some information on it, and then those scripts that we shared with you. So then you're adding the salt into the wound prior to that section there as well.
Alrighty, well, Deniz, let's wrap this up. But we want you, if you want more help with growing your getting more doors, getting better fee income, you want to get a lot more scripts and dialogues to help you overcome common fee objections, well, head over to Inspired Growth Training Facebook page. Make sure you like our page there, and while you're there, press visit group or join group, and then answer our 3 questions, and we'll bring you into our IGT inner circle where all the action happens. You'll get support, you'll get encouragement, And also go over to our website, inspiregrowthtraining.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. Learn about what events we've got coming up. Deniz, we've just booked a 2-day event in Phoenix, a masterclass. So we are doing USA events. We also have webinars as well. When you're in the IGT Inner Circle, ask about membership, get in contact with us. We do have a very good program. We've got hours and hours and hours on working BNI, on converting private owners, on investor education evenings, running an investor education service, all those sorts of things. We do provide very in-depth, comprehensive training. We've only just absolutely skimmed the surface in this training. There's no way we can go anywhere near deep, but if you want more information, come and join us, get in contact with us. Also, if you've got an iPhone, go over to iTunes Podcast and dial up or search the PM Growth Expert Show and subscribe there. We are interviewing some of the best BDMs, best property management growth experts on the planet. We've got a number of sessions at the moment which are very, very informative, some quality teaching there, Deniz. We've got interviewed people that are signing up to 25, 30, $35 a month. Deniz is behind most of the coaching there, and we're giving a lot of good content away. So get involved, listen to the podcast in the car between appointments. And if you have an Android device, you'll also be able to subscribe on Podbean. So go to Podbean and subscribe there. But we're done. Thank you so much for being part of this show. If you want to get in contact with us, our individual email addresses are there. We thank so much for Surevestor allowing us to be able to help you with not only being better at property management, but making sure that your prospective clients have proper landlord protection insurance cover as well. So Deniz, how do you feel that this session went?
Yeah, I think it was a good session. You know, we've given them some really good tips on rent roll growth, some great closing tips for Surevestor, and good reasons on why you should be pushing Surevestor as a massive point of difference for your company in, you know, you moving forward.
All right, I think we're all done. Thanks so much, everybody. Remember, get in contact with us, say good day, and any questions, just let us know. Otherwise, any questions regarding Surevestor, get in contact with the Surevestor guys. I'm sure they'll be able to help you. So
excellent.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.